Okay, so in the previous video, we created a mug in Blender, and also we changed some settings to make it a little bit easier to do hard surface modeling for 3D printing. What we're going to do now is actually model a chair, and actually a couple chairs. Now, this isn't a chair that you could actually print, but it's a good lesson for showing how to model things. So before we do that, what we should probably start with is a reference. So I have a reference here on dimensions.com, and dimensions.com just has a bunch of dimensions for various things. It's a very useful site. We're not going to model this chair exactly, but it's a good starting point to understand how large the chair should be and what the dimensions should be. So I'm going to open up Blender, and it should be very similar to the way that we set it up previously. I am going to change the scale to centimeters from where we had it before in millimeters, because the chair is actually in centimeters, not millimeters. It's be a little bit easier to model it based on our reference. I'm going to change this to centimeters here, and then I am going to change this to 0.00 or 0.01. So all right, so now is create a cube by pressing Shift A to add a mesh. Okay, so a cube has been created. It is 0.2 centimeters because we were in millimeters before. But what we want to do is actually use our reference here. It says it's 48 from the side and 41 in the front. We're not going to model this exact, although you could. We are going to just average that and say we want it to be 45 by 45. Go back over here, say we want it to be 45 centimeters. Okay, we're just going to make it a lot larger, which means we have to zoom out. Alt and Control, and then back out so you can actually see the cube. All right, I'm going to scale this down to make our seat. So we're going to ask the scale on the Z, so Z, and I'm going to scale this down to about 5 centimeters. If you don't get it exactly, you can go over here and press 5. If you don't have this panel open, you need to select the object and press N to make it appear. Okay, all right, so we're going to jump over to edit mode. We're pressing Tab. And then I'm going to click on, and then I'm going to press 7 to get to the top. I want to create some loop cuts in here. So I'm going to create a loop cut by making sure this is selected and pressing Control R. We can click off to the side, and then we can adjust the loop. All right, so this is going to go up to about -8. And you can see the edge slide at the top underneath the file menu when I say it's -0.8. Okay, all right, down here, we can adjust this to make sure it is exactly that. So -0.8, which up here you can see is about 18 centimeters. All right, so we're going to do this again. Select Control R and get a loop cut, and then we can slide this down. And we want to make it exactly the same as the other side, so about -18 centimeters. So over here, -18, make it exactly the same. We're going to make another loop cut, so select it again and select everything, and then Control R, and you can move down to the bottom so to make sure the loop cut is vertical. Click off, you can go over here again. Edge slide, you want to go over up to -8 down here, -8 or 0.8 rather, which again is going to be 18 centimeters. And you can guess it. We're going to do one more loop cut. Control R to loop cut, and then slide it over here. And this is going to be -18. Okay, so we have loop cuts out of which we can start extruding our topology. So this is the top, and if we click on 9, we get the bottom. And what I'm going to do is click on face select and actually click on these faces and press Shift, click on this face and this face. And then press Alt to tilt it a bit so I can actually see what I'm doing. And let's see, back for a reference here, we know that this is about 45 inches up or down rather from the seat. That's what we're going to use for how long our legs should be. We are, with those selected, you press E to extrude, and we're going to extrude down 45 centimeters. And you can see again, the 45 would be at the top there underneath the edit menu. 40, overshot a little bit, 45. Okay. All right, we're going to orbit around so we can get the back here, or the orbit around so we can get the top here. And we can select these faces, and we can rotate a bit. Actually, let's press 3 so we can get a side view, and we can press E to extrude again, 3 to get a side view. And when you look at our reference here, you can see that it's 45 plus the whole chair is 89. It's 89. So you can say that the chair itself is another, you can just average and say that it's another 45 for the seat back. All right, so let's go here in our side view. view and we can extrude, and we're going to extrude up 45. Okay, and to make it exact, we can just say 45. Okay, with that, our chair is pretty much done, and we're going to press tab to go back into object mode. Yeah, and our chair is pretty much done. All right, so we're going to move on to a bit more complicated chair. And to do that, what I'm going to do first is actually grab this one and press G and then Z to move it up. Okay, and zoom out a bit, change the angle so we can see the chair. I'm going to grab it again with G and then press X to move it here so we can work on our next chair. Okay, we're going to press Shift A to add another cube. We are going to scale it down on the Z. It's already 45, 45, 45 because that's what it was before when we scaled it up. So I'm going to scale on Z and we're going to scale it down to 5 like we did before. Even if you don't make it exactly, you can go over here. Okay, zoom in a little bit on this. And actually, I'm going to hit 7, get a top view, and then press Tab to get into edit mode. So I'm going to add a loop cut to this and do Control R, loop cut, have 6 segments here, and press A to select everything again. Control R, another loop cut this way, and you're going to have 6 segments that way. You have a little bit more complicated loop cuts this time because we're going to do some more complicated things here. All right, on top view now, if you press 9, it will shift you around to the bottom. 7 is top, 9 is bottom. I'm going to tilt. I'm going to select these corners. Kind of make sure you select face, select 2, 3, 4, hold down Shift, Alt to tilt a bit, and I'm gonna zoom out a little bit as well. You can see what we're doing. It's a little bit too far. All right, so as we did with the first chair, we're gonna extrude, and we're gonna extrude down 45 centimeters. And if you hard off on it exactly, go down here and type in 45. All right, while they're still selected, what I'm going to do is scale out, let's say about 1.25. You can eyeball that, so that's fine. All right, get 7, gives us a top view, 8 at the bottom. So from the top, we're going to do select the back of the chair, or what will become the back of the chair. One of these sections, and I'm going to go to 3, give us the back. I'm going to get out of edit mode for a second, and then you probably have the same issue that I have. The other chair is in the way, so I'm going to grab this and move it around the y-axis, which is the green. So grab Y and move it out of the way. So I gotta see what I'm doing. You could also grab it in Z, so it's actually exactly above there. Okay, now I'm gonna go back into edit mode for our other chair. We still have these selected. We're gonna extrude up again. Let's actually extrude up about 50 this time instead of 45. Okay, with the top still selected, we're going to skew this back a bit. So we're gonna move it back, make the chair a little bit more comfortable. And what we're going to do is change the view to 1 and go back to the select, and we're going to scale out a bit on our chair. Okay. All right. With face select still, actually, all right, now we're going to extrude up more time. All right. Now we're going to go into X-ray mode. There's a button up here. Okay. So this will allow us to select the face in the front and the back by clicking on this version. All right. So make sure you're in X-ray mode. Then you're going to go to the edge menu and click on bridge edge loops. It'll take out that segment and do that again for this one, bridge loops, and then this bridge mesh loops. Okay, you can turn off X-ray and you can get out of edit mode and grab, and we're gonna go up to Z axis and we're gonna put this above this axis. All right, look at your around and look at your chair and how the chair is here. We can move this back and grab it and move it on the y-axis to move it back, and then grab it and move it on the x-axis to move it over. There are our 2 chairs, and very different. This is a very simple chair. This is a bit more complicated, but nicer looking chair. And that's about it. Now you can just save. I actually have a chair that I have in here already, but make sure you save this in our projects, save it as a chair. And what I suggest you do is try to model something a little bit more complicated like this. All right, that's it for this video.